Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. As you can probably tell by the title of the video, we built something a little bit bonkers. Basically what we did is we put two PCs in a single desktop case. Now, it might not make a lot of sense as to why we did this, so come take a look. Basically what we did is we built a gaming and an encoding PC in a single case in the Phanteks P600A with an RTX system up the top and the main gaming PC. The RTX system up the top's got a capture card connected to it so we can do encoding and capturing in 4K 60, as well as two 2070 Supers in SLI in the gaming part of the system. It's completely bonkers, so let's see how it all came together. As you probably saw in the little thing down here somewhere, this video is sponsored by NVIDIA and AORUS, and they supplied everything for this project. GPUs, motherboards, coolers, RAM, memory, monitor, everything. Basically everything that you're seeing in this video. Now, the reason why we put this setup together is to show you what it would look like if money wasn't really an object, like what the other end of the spectrum looks like for a streaming setup, the non-budget version, if you will. And the reason why I wanted to do this is to basically inspire you so you can take bits of what we did here and apply them to your own streaming setups. And yeah, that's what we're all about, just to inspire you to build beautiful setups like this. I actually love how this looks. It's pretty cool, right? Anyway, let's see how the PC came together, and then we'll talk about all the parts and all the beautiful stuff that you guys love right towards the end of the video. let's talk about the parts because it's basically everybody's favorite part of the video, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how this system actually works as well, because yeah, I don't want to leave it a mystery, but I'm not going to dive too deep into it because we just don't want this video to go for like 50 minutes or something crazy like that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a video about how to set up Streamlabs OBS as well, probably this week. And like I said in the last video we did, that this week is mainly going to be about streaming because that's what everyone's trying to do right now. And I've got a bit of a history with streaming on an older channel where we used to stream in 4K every single week. Okay, anyway, let's talk about these parts, and there's a lot of them because there's two systems. First off, the motherboard for the gaming PC is the AORUS Z390 Master. It's a decent motherboard. It's actually the first time that we've used it in a build, and yeah, it seems to do pretty good. Now, the CPU that we tied to that system is the Intel i9-9900K. Now, I was gonna go with the KS, but I decided against doing that basically because the KS is a little bit warmer and I don't have a spare KS to put into a system right now. My main gaming PC's got a KS in it and I didn't really want to pull that apart for this video, and yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, the two GPUs we decided to go with, yes, we decided to go SLI, and there's only one reason why we decided to do this. It's because we can. And we know that it's not really like a feasible thing to do SLI, but you know, sometimes you just need to flex. Two GPUs is kind of better than one, but not really. Anyway, the GPUs we went with are the Gigabyte WINDFORCE 2070 Supers, and they're the 3X versions, not the regular WINDFORCE, so they're a little bit thicker than a 2-slot, which actually worked out to be really good. And we connected both of them with a 3-slot NVLink bridge. It would appear that a system like this would use a 4-slot, but it's only a 3-slot because you count the slots between, not the slot included that you actually plug the card into. Okay, it gets confusing, but that's how NVLink works. For RAM, we went with 32 gigs of AORUS RGB memory at 3600 megahertz. So there's 4 modules and we used 2 kits in total. For storage, we used the AORUS RGB M.2 and it's a 1 terabyte drive. Pretty decent drive. We've used it before in a couple of other builds and it does pretty well. We use that fancy new AORUS cooler with the screen built in. It's the 360 version of that. We actually have an installation guide of how to do the 240 version on Intel motherboards. I'll put that in the top right hand corner right now if you want to check out how that installs. For the RTX system, and this is going to be a bit of a controversial choice, I know, but there's a reason for us doing it this way. We were going to use another 9900K in the top, but thermally, it's not feasible. And we're not actually getting extra performance for encoding if we were to use a 9900K. So we went with a 9600K and we're using the integrated graphics, and the i5 9600K is on the Gigabyte Z390i AORUS Pro Wi-Fi. Now we've used it in a couple of builds now. Claire actually daily drives this motherboard in her main PC that she edits all of the photos on for the whole channel, all of the socials. Also, she edits the main byte videos on that PC as well with that motherboard, and it's proven to be pretty decent. And she's been using that since about August last year. So yeah, it is a pretty good motherboard. For memory, I went with 32 gigs of Corsair LPX at 3200 megahertz. It's a 3200 megahertz kit that I had laying around. It's actually part of a 64 gig kit. I just used half of it because yeah, they're 16 gig modules each. There's also a 512 gig M.2 on it as well. It's from Team Group. It's perfect. We don't need a lot of storage for an encoding PC, just enough to have the operating system and all of the stream assets on there. You probably noticed during the build that we did something a little bit funky, and I didn't show all of it in the build because I got a little bit frustrated with parts of this build because it may not look it, but it is actually quite a complex build. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the 120mm Corsair H60 liquid cooler. Now, I could have mounted it on the back of the case. I decided not to do that. I wanted to do it at the top because it would look a little bit nicer. The clip of me installing it, I actually ended up rotating the block around the other way because it just fit in a little bit nicer. And like I mentioned, it is quite a complicated setup. And installing an RTX board in this case is actually something you can do without modifying. There's actually a kit to do it, and this is probably the smallest case you can do a dual system in. And if you're wanting to know what case it is, I've already talked about this. This is one of my favorite cases ever made, and this is another reason why I think it's one of the best cases ever. It is the Phanteks ECLIPSE P600S. It is a beautiful case, and yeah, I think Phanteks nailed it. And I keep saying it every time we do stuff with this case. I really like it, and that's why I've kept it around, and that's why you keep seeing me use it, because yeah, it's just so versatile for so many different types of builds. Another thing that you probably would have noticed is it is an encoding PC, and we could have done NDI encoding over the network, but what if I wanted to plug a PlayStation into it? What if I wanted to plug something else into it? Well, we're using an AVerMedia Live Gamer 4K capture card, and it's a PCIe capture card. And what I did to get this to work is janky, but also kind of cool. I used, and there's a reason why I did it, because I don't have a long one. I connected 3 PCIe riser cables. They run around the back side of the case all the way through, and the PCIe card actually plugs in a vertical orientation on the side of the PC. Now, there's going to be comments with people saying, oh, the airflow of the capture card and blah, 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 the GPUs. It's fine. It makes no difference. That capture card basically generates 0 heat, so it's okay. We've tested it. It's fine. As for RGB, the RGB setup is really, really simple. Everything's just plugged into the motherboard and configured in RGB Fusion. All of the additional fans you're seeing, not including the ones on the front here, are Cooler Master addressable RGB fans. There's a 140 at the back, and there's 3 120s on the back that I added for push-pull, and another 120 up the top for the Corsair liquid cooler. And yeah, that's basically all of the parts for the PCs themselves. Yes, this video is going to go for a long time, but there is actually quite a lot to talk about. And I wanted to talk about the monitor that Aorus actually ended up supplying for this overkill streaming setup, the FI27QP, and we've actually reviewed this monitor already. We did that back in January, and if you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out in the top right-hand corner right now. And when we did that review, we legitimately thought this thing was really good. So when Aorus said that they wanted to send us one as part of this project, yeah, it's pretty obvious that I said yes. And if you watched our review of the FI27QP, I'm pretty sure you already know how I feel about it. For gaming and content creation, it's pretty spot on, and I'm not going to dive into all the details because I've already done that in the review. But just to summarize, in case you haven't seen it, it's a 27-inch 10-bit 1440p 165Hz IPS panel with a response time of 1 millisecond, and it's also fully G-Sync certified. And if you wanted to get your hands on one of these panels for a cheaper than usual price, Aorus is actually doing us Aussies a deal, and yes, I'm sorry, but this is just for Australia only. Aorus is offering 20% off at M-Wave on the entire Aorus monitor series, and they're also giving away an exclusive Aorus merch pack, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it includes one of those Aorus robots, and if it doesn't, it does now, so. Anyway, to enter, it's pretty simple, and just be aware, we're not running this giveaway. We just thought we'd mention it because free stuff's always nice. If you want to do it, all you need to do is follow at AurusANZ on Instagram, comment on the post that I'll link down in the description, and comment what your favorite FI27QP feature is, or what the feature is that you need the most out of that panel. And yeah, Aorus will DM you with the discount code, and they'll announce the winner of the Aorus merch pack giveaway on April the 17th. Pretty straightforward stuff. And speaking of being pretty straightforward, I think that I am done here. Anyways, guys, if you want to know all the parts that we use, and there's a lot of parts, I'm going to try and put as much as I can in a PC part picker list and a bunch of other links too, because some of the stuff you can't actually put on PC part picker list, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. Also guys, if you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. You can grab it on our Patreon. There's a link to that down below as well. And yeah, I think we're done. Also, again, special thanks to NVIDIA and Aorus for hooking us up with all the gear for this project. It's completely crazy. I can't believe that we've got this set up now. And yeah, cool. I think that we're done. Are we done, Claire? Okay, she shouted across the house, but yeah. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Leave a comment down below if you want to do that too, and all that stuff. Yep, cool. I'm Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak. We seek, and we are going to be benchmarking. We're going to be testing this system next week. We're waiting for Minecraft RTX. That's what we want to do with this system. That's what I want to stream with it when we first get it up and running, and all that stuff. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm also going to basically show you guys how to stream RTX titles the best way. And that's why we built something like this, because it is no compromises for streaming RTX titles. And also, stay tuned. I think probably tomorrow or the day after, I'm gonna do a Streamlabs OBS setup guide, a really basic one, just so you can get the understanding of how to set up. And it will be good for first-time streamers. I've seen a lot of people on social media trying to set up streams for the really hard times that we're living in right now. And yeah, I'm gonna show you guys the easiest way to do it. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.